What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris. We are back here with another video. Today we are here in Long Beach at the Long Beach Most Wanted Studios. I am here with LaLa DeVille. I just want to give a little background of how I even came into contact with LaLa. So, summer of 2021, I took up an internship for this job and came across her in the warehouse, and I told her how I was into photography, video editing and everything, and she told me about what she was into, how she wrote poetry, how she raps and everything. At first I didn't really believe it, but then she gave me an Instagram, and then it showed, and the proof was right there. Everything that she said was true, and just took me by surprise. And ever since, we've been just collabing and just helping each other grow in our craft. So without further ado, LaLa DeVille.
Hey.
Alright, LaLa, so how are you feeling? It's been a crazy time in life, just with the pandemic, a lot of racial tension. I mean, just how have you been? How's your mental been?
Oh my God, the mental. At times I felt like I was gonna have a nervous breakdown, especially when we had the orange man in office and all the crap that he had going on. It was difficult. I know it was. I had did a Facebook Live, and I started talking about the Black Lives Matter, and somehow it just morphed into Oprah and why she's not doing anything, and everybody sitting around not doing anything, and I just exploded and start crying, and I'm like, you know what, I need to get myself together. So, you know, with being shut in and then all of that was going on, it really took a toll. So I had to just kind of, you know, decompress, just pull the plug on stuff and just kind of woosah.
Right.
Because if not, then it was getting ugly.
Right.
It was getting ugly.
Well, first, like, what are we here for today at the Long Beach Most Wanted Studio? Why are we here?
I am working on a project because I'm a poet, and I used to be a rapper, and well, really, poetry and rap is one and the same.
Yeah.
So I decided that I wanted to put together a poetry CD. So people found out that I used to rap, and they're like, oh, why don't you bring LaLa D, which was my rap name? Why don't you bring her out of retirement? Blah blah blah. So I'm here at Long Beach Most Wanted putting together my poetry CD, which is called Gfunk Poetry. So it is a mix of poetry, mix of rap, to West Coast Gfunk beats.
Ooh.
So this is a project that's really important to me. I've been diligently working in the studio with DJ Solo, been putting everything together. I've done some collaborations, so I've just really been focusing a lot on that.
So like I said, just people being in the house and having time to do different things. Was this project something that sparked up with you spending a lot of time in the house during the pandemic? Yeah.
What happened was I had been planning on working with Solo to put together a CD project for like about 2-3 years before then.
Okay.
And I would see Solo, I'm like, I haven't forgotten. I'm gonna hook it up. I'm just trying to get my coins right. A heifer's broke, so let me get my coins together. We all right. I ain't going out on Fig, but I gotta get my coins right. So once the pandemic hit, I'm on YouTube, and I start looking for instrumental tracks because I want to kind of put some poetry to some music, and I came across this one producer named Able Beats, and he had these fire tracks where it's like Snoop Dogg type beat, Nate Dogg type beat, and I'm like, okay, let me see what this is. And then I'm listening to it, and I'm like, this is kind of funky. I'm liking this. I'm digging this. So then I started collaborating with another artist, which is a poet in the poetry community, who also would rap, and he came up with the idea of me coming out of retirement. So I started penning raps and what have you, and then I'm like, okay, well, me and him are working on a project as a duo, but then I still wanted to get mine done, and I didn't want to keep putting it on the back burner. So I got my tracks together, picked out the poems that I wanted, and then, you know, as time went on, I hit Solo up and like, I'm ready. So the pandemic is what allowed me to have that time to sit down and search for music. Had I not done that, I probably would not have come across Abel Beats.
Wow.
So all of his, my whole CD is all of his productions.
Wow.
So he's pretty dope.
One move, and we would not have gotten this masterpiece.
Oh, thank you.
Man. So you talk about Gfunk Poetry being a combination of poetry with Gfunk beats. Can you tell us, like, how have those two styles of art, like, have impacted your life?
Well, it allowed me to get creative and really dig deep into my inner rapper, because I'm 53 and it had been like 20 something, almost 30 years since I had last been in the studio, since I had last written a rap.
Wow.
And poetry comes easy for me because I can write whatever emotion it is that I'm feeling now, or whatever is going on, I can write about it. But with writing a rap, I had to look at my old style versus what's out now, and I didn't want to sound dated. So it was a challenge in order to learn and study what's already out there and kind of add my own element to it, where I'm not trying to sound like the new generation of rappers, but then I didn't want to have that old dated sound too, so I kind of had to listen to some different sounds. So it was a challenge, but I was able to get it done, and it impacted me in a positive way, because at the end of it, I'm like, you know, I was able to do this. I didn't think I could, but I got it done.
Right.
So I was just so grateful for that. So big ups to my brain.
All right, LaLa. So from what you told me, you have some heavy hitters on your project. Why don't you share with the people some of the people that are featured on your project?
Okay, I have DJ Solo. He is mixing the whole project. We have Lorenzo Frank. He's doing the intro onto one of my pieces. I have artist Bree Ma. I have Kwamel, poet Smooth One, Pretty Black, and the legendary KD Baby. I'm still amazed at the fact that I have all these heavy hitters, and I just, you know, when I'm putting the project together, I'm like, oh, let me call such and such and see if they can do this for me. And I make the call, and they're like, yeah, you know, just let me know, you know, when you set up the studio time. And I'm like, wow, I just knew people were going to tell me, well, no, I don't have time and whatever. But everybody, they were very accommodating. They made time to do the project and to go over what it was that I wanted. And everybody just really came through for me. And I was so surprised. And even people, when I tell them who I was working with, they're like, how did you manage it? How did you get KD? How did you do that? And it's like, okay, I met him through a mutual friend. And we've been knowing each other for years. And it was this one track I heard, and it's like, I don't know why I'm feeling KD would be a good fit on here. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to ask him. What's the worst he could say? Is yeah or no? And I'm like, hey, you know, I'm working on this project, blah, blah, blah. You think I could, you know, get you to show some love on the track? And he's like, just shoot me the track. So I did that. And next thing you look up, we were in the studio putting the track together. And it's dope. The whole project is really dope. I'm very proud of it. And everybody was just, they blessed me with their presence on the mic, and it was like just so awesome.
All right, so like you said, heavy hitters. So let me ask you, like, how have you felt putting all these pieces together to make this project what it is? Have you felt any pressure working with these heavy hitters, with these people who have experience? I know you have experience as well, but have you felt any pressure or anything during the course of this project?
Believe it or not, no. And I think it's because everybody has been a little accommodating towards me, and then I've been accommodating toward them. So it's none of that, you know, these egos clashing or people, I don't want it like that. I kind of had a little bit of that, and you did witness it, but at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where you get two artists together and our visions are the same but yet different.
Right.
Then you're gonna kind of have that head butting, like, well, I don't think you should do it. No, this is how I want it, but I want it like this. So it's just figuring out how you're going to compromise, or which one is going to just give and just say, you know what, here, it's all you take care of it. But I think by me going in, knowing what it was that I wanted, and then everybody being open to hearing what my vision was, and then I tell them, okay, this is what the piece is about. I'm gonna send it to you with my vocals on it. You do you. So I gave other people the option to just let their creative juices flow, rather than me dictate, well, I need you to write something that says that, no, I don't like the voice like that. I want it like this. So I let everybody just be themselves. So everything just flowed naturally. And I think that was what made it a lot easier on me and so stress-free.
Don't we just love it when plans just come together?
Yes.
Oh my. So tell us, like, when your fans listen to this project, what are you hoping they get out of it?
Well, several things that I wanted them to get out of the project, and one is poetry is not one-dimensional. That was the reason why I decided to put the Gfunk project together, because I kept running into people who told me, when I tell them I'm a poet, they're like, ew, I don't like poetry. And I'm like, but you have never heard. I don't care. I don't like poetry. And I think a lot of people who are really not on the poetry scene, I think they're so used to the more traditional poetry, like Maya Angelou, Robert Frost, and James Baldwin.
Right.
Those poets are the ones I think that they're more accustomed to, so they don't like poetry. But you haven't heard all the, there's so many different types of poetry.
Right.
So I figured, get something with some dope beats. If you like heavy bass and you rolling down the street and you got this West Coast track going and you getting your walk on and what have you, but it's a poem. It's like, man, she talking about police brutality, but this beat is dope. So it's bringing these people in who normally probably wouldn't even listen to a poem or listen to any sort of poetry.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, she's rapping. No, that's a poem. What? Okay, so you're getting a poem, you're getting a rap, all in one. I let a friend hear one of my tracks today, and she's like, oh my God, this is so good. She starts crying, and I'm like, she said, I'm not sad or anything. She said, it's just, I really feel this, and the music just goes so well with it. So I'm like, that's the reaction that I'm looking for.
Can't turn that off.
You can't turn it off. You can't. And I even went as far as researching to make sure that there wasn't a such thing as Gfunk Poetry. So I'm on YouTube and I'm doing some Googling, and I'm like, okay, let me see if there's some hip hop poets out there. And some of them had some pretty dope tracks, but it wasn't, just think of Dub C doing a poem to one of his beats, and it's kind of like that. That's my thing, and I hope that's a message that I can get across to people, that it's okay to be what you are, and if people don't like it, that's fine, but you can always take it and go a step further and create your own lane, and then you have people that will gravitate. So that was, you know, the message on that. And then it's never too late to start over. Like I said, I'm 53, and I like to put emphasis on that, because a lot of people are always saying, you know, when you get 30 years old, you need to stop rapping. You're too old to be a rapper. You're never too old to be a rapper. You're never too old to do anything. The only time you are too old to do anything is when you're dead. So whatever it is you want to do, you put your mind to it and you do it.
And hey, you guys heard it here first. The creator of Gfunk Poetry, copyright trademark LaLa DeVille. Y'all heard it first. So let's stay on the topic of poetry. Could you maybe inform us what kind of inspires you to write poetry?
Well, when I first started, I've been writing for many years, but when I really decided that I wanted to dive into poetry, it was a coping mechanism. I was in therapy, and my therapist suggested that I start writing a journal. So I was journaling, and I would go to this monthly poetry spot in Inglewood. And it's one particular night I went, and there was a poet. She's out of Atlanta. Her name is Queen Sheba. She did this poem called the period poem. And when I heard it, I'm like, I can do that. So I went home and I went through my journals. So what I ended up doing was I started doing poetry with just what I had been writing in my journals. So it basically started out where it was a lot of angry poems, because I had just, I had a lot that I had gone through. So basically a lot of them were very dark. They were very angry. They were really laced with a lot of curse words, and you could just feel the anger in it. It was to the point to where I asked a fellow poet, when you first met me, what did you think about me? He said, I was scared of you. I'm like, really? He's like, you were just so angry. So as time went on, writing those emotions out, I was able to write myself out of the dark place and start looking at what was around me. So I started getting inspired by a lot of the stuff that was going on with Breonna Taylor and Kanika Jenkins and Tatiana Jefferson. That would trigger it. I would go through social media, and somebody might do a post on why black men ain't shit. And then I might write a poem where, okay, I love black men. I know all of you aren't bad, but do
you hear that, y'all?
Yeah, I don't be with the black men or dogs. I don't do that, because I haven't dated every black man in this world. So I can't say all black men are dogs or all men are dogs. I haven't dated all of them. So right. I can't put that on. It's just the ones that I chose were dogs, but that's a topic for a whole different discussion. Right. But it's just certain things that I see.
So if this is not too much to ask, personally, which track on this project would you say has been your favorite to work on?
Actually, it's two, but if I have to narrow it down to one, it would have to be Black Man, Black Woman. And that's the one that I did with Smooth One. Right. And I'm talking about my love for the black man, and he's talking about his love for the black woman. Mm-hmm. And it's just filled with so much love and so much passion. And he's also my significant other, my better whole, I'm here, what is it? I'm his balance. He's my balance. He's gonna kill me for that one. But I had wrote Black Men even before me and him had connected. So I had already planned on putting that on the CD. So he had wrote Black Woman, and when I heard it, I'm like, can you put that poem with now he had never heard Black Man before, so we did it, and when you hear it, you could just feel that energy, that it's a genuine respect for the black woman, it's a genuine respect for the black man. Right. And I think a lot of it comes out of the fact that that's how we both feel about each other, because this is like the first healthy relationship I've ever been in. And
we're glad to hear that.
Well, thank you.
We're glad to hear that.
And it's been 3 years, and those emotions and that love and that honor and that respect, you can feel that in those words. So it made it a genuine piece. So that one is always going to be one that's very, very close to my heart. So I would, like I said, it's two, but if I had to make a choice, I'd have to say it's that. And it's needed now, because it's almost like black men and black women are being pitted against one another. And I'm kind of tired of it. And we talk about black men, they're not this, and black women not that, but then our daughters, our little kids, our little girls, our little boys are hearing this, and these are the messages that we're feeding into them. So they grow up thinking, well, my mama said all men ain't shit, so that means I ain't shit. So I don't want to contribute to that narrative. I want to turn that around.
And I remember hearing black man, black woman. You have posted it on your Instagram.
Yes.
And I'll just give you my review after hearing it. It's just like you said, it's just showing that respect for the other sex. Hearing black men, like, I actually felt like, dang, like, I can hear your passion and that love that you have for black men and wanting to uplift black men. So on behalf of black men, I want to say thank you.
Oh, you.
I want to say thank you for that, because it really did make me feel appreciated as a black man. It really did.
As it should.
It really did.
As it should.
And while we're on the topic of Instagram, give the people a shout out of your Instagrams and where they can find you.
Well, first of all, I'm Googleable. So you Google LaLa DeVille, all my social media stuff is gonna come up. But if you want to find me on Instagram, is Miss LaLa the Poet. You can find me on Facebook, LaLa DeVille, and my website, MissLalaDeVille.com. And like I said, I'm Googleable. You can find me everywhere.
Hey, search it up. Googleable is the word.
Googleable, right? LaLa DeVille.
And if it's not, copyright trademark by LaLa DeVille. We just made that word up right now. So after Gfunk Poetry drops, do the people have anything to look forward to in the future?
Yeah, right now, once I get Gfunk Poetry on, out of the way, I am currently working with Kwame on a poetry project. Well, we call it a hybrid. We're half poetry, half rap.
Okay.
And our duo is called The Live Return. So I'm working on that, and then I'm also working on a new book of love poems with complicated passion. So that one is called The Conversation. So we're looking on trying to drop that within the next couple of months. So when I drop that and Gfunk Poetry and The Live Return, you'll see it all on my Instagram, because I always, my whole life is on there. And then crocheting, I do crochet purses and handbags. So I'm looking to push that, because I want to get into the designer purses, because you got crochet, but they're not like mine.
Ooh.
So and it's not to be cocky, it's just I research, and it's like, okay, I see this, but I can't find it in crochet. So let me create it.
Right.
So I have these, different bags or what have you. So, you'll be seeing that.
All right, LaLa. So first off, just thank you so much for this time, letting us into your mind behind this project and everything that's gone into this project. Is there any last words that you may have for the people?
Well, I will say, always keep in mind that you're never too old to start over. You're never too old to learn a new trade or learn how to do a new project. Just keep pushing. Don't let anybody tell you what you cannot do. You do you. And always remember, you're never too old, and you're only old when you're dead.
Alright, LaLa, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you guys be on the lookout for Gfunk Poetry.
Gfunk Poetry, the queen and the chunks, and I'm about to spit.
And LaLa DeVille's Gfunk Poetry.